Welcome to the Beard Speaks podcast. Hey, all right, guys, what's going on? Pat here with the Beard Speaks podcast. That's right. All right, well, if you hear my voice a little messed up, is because I have been fighting something, man, for the past couple of months, actually. So, yeah, but I'm glad to be back behind the mic. I said, you know what, screw it. I got some important things to talk about. I'm going to get on here anyway, so please excuse me. Wow, man, 2026. This is only the second episode of this year, and, you know, it's tough for me to start off a new year because I do a lot of traveling in the beginning of the year every year, and that really sets me back a little bit on producing and putting out some new episodes. So, but those of you that continue to keep sharing my show and listening to the show and going back and listening to old episodes, I see it in the analytics, man, guys, thank you. And those of you who are new, that are just discovering the Beard Speaks podcast, thank you guys very much. It means a lot to me, but yeah, man, what a rough start to 2026 this year, just as far as, like I said, a lot of travel, kind of back and forth flying around the United States here, and caught a nasty bug. And, man, this thing, it didn't let go, right? It put me down for a couple of weeks, and then, man, then I was behind on things and starting to work hard to get all that stuff caught up. And then there's stuff to do around the house. You know how that goes, right? And yeah, you know, then it's like you start passing it back and forth with family members and you're like, come on, man, can this thing go away? And then unfortunately, my family suffered a blow, you know, not just recently, a death in the family, very tough, you know. So I had a lot of relatives and stuff flying in. So just as I was starting to feel better, man, that bug hit me again. So, but hey, you know, such is life. But I'm back, and I'm going to be putting together some new content. But I had some really important stuff to talk about that's been weighing heavily on me, and I wanted to get it out there and you know, turn the mic on and start moving forward. So, without any further ado, let me shout out, as I normally do, to people who have been listening to the show. Guys, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the emails that are coming in, fan mail and that type of thing, you know, giving me some suggestions on different things to talk about and on the show, and those of you who want to be on the show. So, hey, thank you very much for that. And if you're looking to contact us, it's the Beard Speaks podcast at gmail.com. That's right. And you can check us out at the Beard Speaks podcast.com and check out our website. All our links to our socials are there, man. We're rocking it on TikTok. We've got, you know, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff, man. We're all over. And then really check out our YouTube page too, because our show not only goes out live all over the place, but it also gets pushed out on YouTube, so you can listen to it there if you are a YouTube fan, and that's how you like to consume your podcasts. But other than that, where can you hear the Beard Speaks podcast? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podcast Index, Overcast, iHeartRadio. Glad to be on iHeartRadio, man. Podcast Addict, Castro, Podchaser, Castbox, Pocket Cast, Listen Notes. Wow, this is a tough one today, man. Player FM, Good Pods, and True Fans. That's right. You can check us out anywhere podcasts are available. So let's go ahead and shout out to some people, man, or some cities and countries that have been listening to the show. Again, you know, every time I check out the analytics and I look and see who's tuning in, it blows my mind. So I really do appreciate it. You know, so shout out, obviously, everyone in Chicago, Illinois, my hometown, checking in, San Antonio, Texas, Lebanon, Tennessee, what's happening? North Bergen, New Jersey, what's up, Jersey? Miami, Florida, Fort Thomas, Kentucky, Jacksonville, Florida, Council Bluffs, Iowa, Austin, Texas, Carlton, Texas, Crystal Lake, Illinois, Columbus, Ohio, Baltimore, Maryland, Maryland, Dallas, Texas. What's up, Dallas? Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Las Vegas, Nevada, Los Angeles, California, Elk Grove Village, Illinois, Cicero, Illinois, Memphis, Tennessee. What's up, Memphis? Anchorage, Alaska, man. What's going on up there, man? It's cold. You guys, I'm feeling it here in Chicago, man. It's freaking cold. That's another thing. When is this weather going to break, man? Jeez. We're talking, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. Then we always have like this one little blip of 70, 75, and it's like, spring has sprung. Nay, it has not. What's up, Gallatin, Tennessee? Palos Hills, Illinois, Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, Naperville, Illinois, Reading, Pennsylvania, Hinsdale, Illinois, Carpentersville, Illinois, Garland, Texas. What's up, Garland? Lexington, Kentucky, Ashburn, Virginia, Naples, Florida. I bet you the weather's not too bad. Although Florida, you guys have been a bit messed up. I was down in Tampa somewhere in mid-January, and man, you guys, all you gave me was 40-degree weather. It's bogus, man. Window Rock, Arizona, what's happening? Madison, Wisconsin, Fontana, California, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the list goes on. And this is just for the last show, the last episode. So thank you guys so much, for checking in and just giving us some love here at the Beard Speaks podcast. So, what do we want to talk about today, man? I don't want, it's a heavy subject, that I've talked about, and it's near and dear to my heart because not only has it happened to me, but I have happened to become friends with people in some groups that have had this happen to, and it's just tough. And then if you've listened to some of my, my past shows where I've had guests on talk about this, it really is something that it's evil. It's pure evil in the world, but it happens. So we're going to start off with, how a lot of this starts with narcissistic abuse, right? So many people think that, once you leave a narcissistic partner, that the abuse ends. And it's not true. So for many people, it really is not what happens. Especially when children are involved, the connection rarely disappears completely. So instead of, it often becomes, instead of just disappearing and walking away from that person, it often becomes a legal battle. So through custody agreements, court hearings, mandated communication, right? So through co-parenting expectations with someone who never actually operated in good faith in your relationship, even just to begin with. And this is where the reality of narcissistic abuse becomes far more complicated than most people realize. So because the same system that tells you that you're free to leave also requires you to remain cooperative, communicate calmly, right? Facilitate visitations, be flexible, right? Got to be flexible, and stay emotionally composed. Just avoid conflict, which is almost impossible to do with these people. So all while still interacting with the very person who manipulated, intimidated, destabilized, or in some cases physically harmed you. And during all of this, you're expected to heal. But healing becomes much more difficult when the connection to the harm hasn't fully ended. So this can look like endless legal motions, children being used as messengers or leverage, withholding information, manipulating professionals, right? They love to do that. Rewriting history, that's another one that happens constantly. Portraying the protective parent, which is you, as the difficult, unstable, and uncooperative one. And while all of this unfolds, you're expected to remain calm, reasonable, and composed under a pressure that most people will never experience. And what I want to say really is that is not weakness. That is a level of endurance that most people will never, ever be required to develop because it's not normal. And narcissistic abuse does not always end with distance, sometimes it changes form. And you're going to say, Pat, well, how does it change? Some of you know. So when a narcissistic parent turns your kids against you, it can feel like one of the most painful forms of emotional abuse that any parent will ever experience. Ever. Because it isn't just relationship conflict anymore. This is parental alienation. Plain and simple. Many fathers and mothers go through this. I've said this a million times. I'm not going to pick on moms or fathers on my show because I have met a lot of moms that have gone through this. Many mothers go through it as much as fathers do. It's not a one-sided thing. Now, yes, does it happen the majority of the time to fathers? Of course. But many fathers and mothers do go through this, and it feels, helpless, confused, furious, heartbroken, all at the same time. Those are all the feelings you get. Now, if that's you, the first thing I want to say is that to understand this, don't panic. Do not react emotionally in front of your kids. That's a mistake we all make. It's one of the biggest mistakes that we make, especially as men, when dealing with a narcissistic ex-wife or a narcissistic mother or just a toxic co-parent. Why? Why do we do this? Well, a narcissist often wants one thing from you. Proof that you are the unstable one. That's it. That's what they want. If they can provoke you into exploding, over texting, oversharing, or breaking down in front of the kids, they will use that reaction to reinforce the narrative that they've already been feeding them. Does it make sense? So what should you do instead, right? What should you do? And I know this is tough, man, but you got to stay calm and grounded. Your children need to experience you as the stable, safe parent. Even if they are cold, distant, and they will be, or even repeating things that the other parent told them. Your job is to not win the moment. I know that's hard, man, but that's not what you're there to do. Your job is to become the long-term evidence that parent, the narcissist, their story about you is false. That's your job, to prove that. Don't badmouth the other parents to the kids. Never. Okay? You shouldn't. That kid, regardless of what that other parent did, is still half you and half them. It's hard, man. I know. But when you attack that other parent in front of the kids, you usually make them feel like they're trapped in the middle. And kids often band more tightly to the parent that appears like the victim. So you make that parent the victim, they're already playing the victim. But they will bond to them. So stay mature, stay steady, let your actions speak. Document everything. Now, I'm going to say this with one caveat. Document everything. I know a lot of people said to me in the beginning of all my court battles and everything, hey, document everything. Everything's got to be documented. And excuse me, I got to keep drinking to keep my voice moving. But yeah, document everything. It doesn't mean the court is going to look at it. Doesn't mean, you might get lucky. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen, but you might get lucky and be able to have an actual, court officials and court experts that will actually look at your stuff. But I won't hold my breath because it doesn't always happen. So, but for your own sanity and for one day for your kids, document everything. So if you're dealing with parental alienation, custody manipulation, false accusations, or narcissistic co-parent abuse, The documentation matters, man. It matters in the end just for your own sanity. Save the text. Keep records of everything. Write down dates, behavior changes, missed visitations, just the patterns. You want to show pattern. Emotions will tell the story, but documentation will prove it. All right, so another thing, focus on connection, not control. When the kid has been influenced against you, trying to force closeness can backfire. Trust me, I know. So instead, stay present, right? Stay consistent. Stay loving. Just be yourself, which is, it's hard during all of this, man. But short, calm, emotionally safe interactions will rebuild the trust better than pressure ever will. Also, get support and strategy. I can't tell you how important this is. It's not something that most people should try to navigate alone. Not at all, man. You cannot walk alone in this. When a narcissistic parent uses kids as a weapon, you need clarity, man. Emotional control and a plan, right? Because you're in this for the long haul, man. It doesn't just go away. Your goal is not just to fight back. The goal is to protect your kids, protect your peace, and protect your future relationships with your kids. If you're going through this, hear me, man, and hear me clear. You're not crazy. You're not weak. And you are not the only parent dealing with this. It is going on. It is happening. Parental alienation by a narcissist is real. And the wrong move can make things worse. 100%. But the right moves over time really can protect your position and help your children just see through all of this. And I know it's like a cliche when they say they'll come around. You know, I've been told that 100 times, right? Oh, just let it go. But you can't, as a parent, you don't let your kids go, man. You fight for them to the very end. Okay? It's just what we do. And why do we do that? Because we know your child is still in there. But you're grieving them because a narcissistic parent, the other parent, poisoned the story so completely that a stranger now lives in their head where you used to be. There's no grief like this. None. I can't even begin to explain it. The world doesn't have a name for it. There's no funeral. There's no condolence cards that come your way. No one is telling you to take time to heal. Your kid is breathing, growing, living, and they're completely unreachable. And I'm talking about this is the point where you're just cut off. You can see them. You can still feel the absence like a physical wound. You can say their name and still feel like you're mourning someone because in every way that matters, emotionally, the version of you that lived in their heart has been replaced, not by truth, by a carefully constructed lie told by someone who just needed a weapon and decided to choose your child or children as the ammunition. Because that's what parental alienation actually really is. It's not just a custody disagreement. It's a sustained, deliberate campaign to make your child see you through the eyes of the narcissist, to replace your voice with their narrative, your memory with their version, and your love with their poison. That's exactly what it is. Every moment you shared, every loving moment, every gentle moment you shared gets reframed. Every boundary you set gets repackaged as rejection. Every absence they engineered gets blamed on you until your child looks at you with eyes that used to hold nothing but love, and you see a stranger looking back at you. And I can't even tell you how hard it is to even deal with that. The cruelty of it is almost beyond words, because they didn't just hurt you. They used your most sacred relationship as the final battleground. The one place you thought it's untouchable. The one love you never imagined could be weaponized. Your own kids. But they've done it. This is what they do. And this is not a co-parenting conflict. People have co-parenting conflicts. Happens every day. Okay? I want my kid to go to this school. No, I want him to go to this school. Or I don't want him to play, soccer. That's a co-parenting conflict. This is not, two sides to a story. This is a parent being erased from their child's heart by someone who decided that winning just mattered more than what their child is going to lose. I told you guys it's going to be a little bit of a heavy show. Oh, man. But, this has been weighing on me, and I know that people are going through this, and I just, I want you to know you're not alone in it, man. I've gone through it, and more so lately than not, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel for this, right? It's just, again, one of the most evil things that can happen. Now, again, one of the cruelest things about family court, we can get into the family court side of this. So all that I just talked about, that is obviously what's happening just in your world without even adding the insanity of family court. But again, one of the cruelest things about family court, the entire case, supposedly about the child, right? They're often the smallest voice in the room. They're not even, listened to or thought about. They can't speak. So the adults argue, the lawyers strategize, the judges evaluate testimony, but the child? The child sits quietly while their entire life, right, just gets decided by people who don't even live it or don't even know them. Kids are just not built for courtrooms. They're built for safety. So they're built for, routines and bedtime stories, school mornings, and, just homes where their nervous system doesn't have to constantly scan the room for danger. Yet every day, kids are ordered into custody arrangements that look balanced on paper, yeah, sure, but are in real life terrifying. So they learn quickly, right? Kids learn quickly that saying the wrong thing can cause a problem. You don't think so, but they do. They learn that adults want them to be okay. They learn to smile during exchanges, even when their stomach hurts and, turns and it's like, I don't want to go, or they know what's going on. Kids are smart. So they adapt, right? They become quiet. They become careful. They become little experts at reading the room. And the system calls this resilience. But many times, it's not resilience. It's survival. It's really what it is. It's just the kids surviving. So, you think about it, children shouldn't have to become emotionally strategic just to make it through their childhood. Right? So this happens. Kids are 9, 10, 11 years old. This is going on until they're 18. Court, I'm telling you right now. And they shouldn't have to carry these secrets because the court already made its decision, right? They shouldn't have to choose which parent feels safer to disappoint. Oh, okay, mom, I'm going to disappoint mom because, dad's a safe parent. Dad's the narcissist or mom's a narcissist, one or the other, right? And the kid has to make that decision. Kids don't have to make that decision. But when courts prioritize adult rights, schedules, and appearances over the child's lived reality, that's exactly what happens. And the most painful part, kids rarely get to say it out loud. I mean, they don't. They just, they're stuck. They're just growing up carrying this confusion and fear. And they're feeling that something's wrong, even if no one ever admitted it. Family courts say they are acting in the best interest of the child. I love that line. The best interest of the child. I've never seen a definition of that, to be honest with you. And every situation is different. But the real question is this. How often are we asking children to adopt the system instead of forcing the system to protect the child, right? Children shouldn't have to be strong enough to survive adult decisions. They should be safe enough just to be kids. Right? If a child has to learn how to emotionally survive their custody arrangement, was that arrangement ever really about their interest? I say nay. It was not. Another one of the really most messed up parts of family court is the delay. Everything is urgent until it actually matters. Emergency motions get filed. Safety concerns get raised. Children are struggling. Protective parents are barely holding it together. And the response? Continued. Rescheduled. Set a review for 60 or 90 days. Days? Children don't live in court timelines. They live in real time. So every delay means another weekend in a house that doesn't feel safe. Another forced visit, right? Another night of anxiety, stomach aches, and silence. And who else knows what's going on in the kid's head? But the system treats us like it's harmless. It's not. Time is where abuse continues, okay? Time is where the parental alienation continues. It's where the fear settles deeper. This is where kids learn no one is coming to fix it. No one is coming to help you. Imagine that. As a little kid, you know something's wrong, right? You're stuck with mom, the alienator, or dad, the alienator. And you want to love the other parent, the father, the mother. You want to love them. You want to spend time with them, but you can't. Because you'll upset the alienator, the narcissist. So now you're in survival mode, and you know that no one is coming to fix it because mom or dad just keeps losing in court and can't get anywhere. So family courts talk about, again, the best interest, and I'm doing quotations here, air quotes, but they drag decisions out so long that the kids have to adapt, right, to whatever situation they're stuck in. And here's the part that makes people furious. The longer it goes on, again, the more the court is starting to call it normal. Oh, it's normal. Kids will adjust. See, they're fine. The protective parent, exhausted? They're overreacting. Abuse doesn't escalate in a way the court can easily measure. Right? Not enough evidence. So delays don't just stall justice, they rewrite reality. The child's fear becomes routine. The unsafe environment becomes status quo. And the system becomes less likely to intervene the longer it waits. So meanwhile, the parent raising the concerns is told, be patient. Trust the process. Don't escalate. Oh, by the way, you owe another retainer. That's just how it works. You want to laugh, but it's true. And all of this, while their child is literally living inside the situation that you're trying to get the court to take serious. This isn't an inefficiency. It's damage stretched over time. If you ever sat there watching a court date get pushed while your child had to go to the other home, and depending on your visitation situation, but if you ever had to watch your child suffer while court dates get pushed and pushed, right? If you ever felt like the system was moving slower than the harm was actually happening to your kid, if you ever had to just wait, and waiting was the most dangerous option, you're not crazy. I'm here to tell you that. You're experiencing one of the most common and most overlooked failures of the family court system. Because when the system delays protection, it isn't neutral. It's choosing time over safety. And children are the ones forced to live inside that decision. And if a child has to endure months, sometimes years, of harm while the court, quote unquote, figures it out, was protection ever the priority? Was it really ever the best interest of the child? I don't think so. I'll tell you guys, this is one of the worst situations happening in our world right now. Not just in the States. This happens all over the world. Again, like I said, I have made friends all over the world that are going through this exact thing. Mothers, fathers, doesn't matter. But you're not alone out there. I've said it 100 times, and I'll continue to say it. You're not alone. It is one of the most heart-wrenching things any parent has to go through. And if you're out there and you're listening to this and you're one of these parents, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're going through this. Excuse me. But you have to find help. Support groups, they're there. You have to talk to someone. You can't handle it alone. We all go through this, and we all try to be tough. But again, it's one of the most evil things that can happen to a parent. And if you are listening to this and you are an alienator, a narcissistic co-parent, shame on you. Shame on you for choosing to use your own child as a weapon against a fit, loving parent. There's kids out there that would love to have a mother in their life or father in their life that wants to be with them, wants to do things with them, chooses them, right? But they've either passed on or something, terrible has happened to them, and they're not in this life anymore. And they miss their parents. But here in this situation, that parent is still here, still living, still breathing, still loving their child. But because you can't get over yourself, okay, and can't get over the anger from the other parent because something didn't work out, whatever the case is, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. kids should never, ever be involved in that. Ever. I don't care if your ex-wife was doing blow and whatever they did, okay, or your ex-husband was, whatever. That's them. That's your problem to deal with that other person. The child should never be in the middle of that situation. Ever. That child is both of you. And once you rip the other once you rip the other person out of their life, once you do this, once you alienate that other parent, you're basically telling your own child that half of them is horrible and disgusting or whatever the little drops of poison you just keep feeding this poor kid. And it's pure evil. But one of the things that you should realize as the narcissistic alienating parent is that your kid's going to figure this out. They are. Okay. You might think you've won because the other parent's now, somewhat out of the picture. Or you finally, enough doses of lie and poison into your child's brain. You've rewritten history now. You've made that child see their other parent as evil and the bad one. You may think you've succeeded in that for a short period, a short little boost to your narcissistic ego. You may think so. But that kid's going to wake up one day, start asking questions. Friends are going to start asking, wait, where's your mom? Where's your dad? What happened? And then they'll tell your lies and they'll say, well, really? I mean, you have evidence of it, proof, whatever it is. Someone's going to ask questions. It's going to happen. Now, I will say that it's rare, but it happens that the other parent really is a horrible person, and you're just trying to keep that kid away from an abusive parent. 100%. Totally agree. But when the other parent did absolutely nothing, is not abusive, you have absolutely zero evidence, those kids will find that out. Okay? Court records will never go away. Kids can look it up. They'll figure it out. They'll see the nonsense. They'll see the lies. All right? They'll see everything. They'll grow up. They'll have kids. And they'll go, how can someone do this to another child? And that is going to be the day that the hammer will swing on you. And your kid will look at you with real disgust and real hatred for cutting out a loving parent out of their lives for absolutely no reason, for your reasons, for your amusement, for your gotcha, right? Just to get back at the other parent. For what? Because the other parent it didn't work out. You split up and now you're angry because you couldn't get what you wanted. More narcissistic control. I'll tell you, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it does happen. I mean, it may not be today. It may not be tomorrow, but it's going to happen. All right, guys. Well, before I lose my voice completely, again, I want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Beard Speaks podcast. Remember, you can send us an email at thebeardspeakspodcast@gmail.com so you can get on the show. You want to talk about this. Are you a parent going through this? Love to have you on the show. Love to tell your story. Support groups are important. You got to find somebody to talk to. Go to your church. Go online. They're out there. There's tons of them. But be proactive. And really try to talk to other parents that are going through this because you're not alone. And that's the one thing you need to understand. You're just not alone. So I really, again, encourage you to do that. So, all right, guys. So, again, before I do lose my voice, check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, the Beard Speaks Podcast at gmail.com. Love you guys. God bless.